All meeting order. Start with the pledge. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody. Glasses on so I can actually see. We'll start with the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments, questions, discussion, or pulling of items?
Number three, the registered nurse one.
Go ahead.
Number three. Understand the registered nurse site. All we're discussing.
Yeah, we can just discuss. Right?
I'm concerned with this. Registered nurse is. Or each RN. It should just be one. I don't think we're gonna be in a situation where we're gonna have multiple today, but. That's the way it seems to read to me right now.
So I went back and it said each RN approved by the board for the stipend for the additional supervision of the LPNs by each RN approved by the Board of Education to perform such supervisory duties. In the second bullet, that's what they added.
So that it can only be paid out if we separately approve the specific nurse.
Yes, that was the point of the bottom, the second part of number two, the last sentence.
I feel like it could be read that we're approving this right now, so it's fine.
I agree, David, about the language. I think it could be a little bit clearer, maybe, to specifically list the RN in writing and notified on a certain time. Or to put a maximum,
Which line in the memorandum are we talking about?
line number 2.
Number two.
Yeah, one and two.
One and two. Listeners.
Perhaps it could read, the district shall award the RN explicitly approved by the board on a given date, a stipend of 1,000.
Doesn't it say the board shall award each RN approve, district shall approve, now award each RN approved by the board?
Perform those duties.
Yeah. I think that's what it says, but I think it's not very clean language.
It probably isn't clean, but it's signed and ready to go by CSEA, which, it may not be as tight as a good English should be, in a contract, but it does say each RN approved, and we approve one RN. I mean,
You want to
You
put
have
the
to go
word
by
in
name.
each individual RN? I mean, I'm not sure
I don't know what they.
how to clean it up.
Well, they want it more specific to one individual, not any, right? Am I understanding that?
Like
Singular and up
RN instead of each.
Well, it says the role and responsibilities of registered nurses, so it's giving a blanket statement, but it makes it sound like there's more than one.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna be in a situation where we have two RNs, but if we were.
Unless one leaves and we get another, I mean, I don't know.
But it does say each. It's a little murky, but I think does
Because
the
it
job. But
would have to be voted on at a later time to do that, so maybe saying as voted by the board at a future date.
Well, I don't think we can change this without going back to him. So, I mean, and that's fine. We can pull it and we can go back.
Well, approved by the board should,
it does say that.
does mean the same thing as voted on by the board.
Yeah.
Well, not approved means that you actually approved it when you vote, doesn't mean you're approving it. You could deny it.
Right, and so where it says specifically approved by the Board of Education to perform such supervisory duties is not necessarily inherent in their job function.
So where does this get, if we leave it as is, where does it get us in trouble?
Probably doesn't. Second RN,
Well, I
Have to
mean,
hire a
let's
second
say,
writer, come forward and say there's a special memorandum of understanding that says each nurse is gonna get a
Right,
$10,000.
and then we say,
but
right,
we're-
so each RN approved by the Board of Education to perform such supervisory duties, you weren't specifically approved by the Board of Education to do that.
I feel like if the language was clean, we wouldn't have to explain.
So we can pull it,
I'm okay.
Well, it does say the district will award each RN approved by the board a stipend of 1,000.
It's like, when was that approval into?
It's almost like you
Hang on
added
for a
the
minute.
name, if you added the name of the nurse, not onto the agreement, left the agreement alone. If you pass the agreement, then make a motion that you add the name of the nurse we're talking about that's gonna get this stipend, then this is approved, and then we approve the nurse it's gonna get.
But it's, again, I'm just trying to make sure I understand the concern. So are we concerned that if we approve this, then the district comes, the administration comes up with another RN and we don't have to vote on it? Or we don't have
We
to
don't have
vote
to
on the
approve.
stipend? I mean, it says we have to approve it, right? I don't know. I don't want the board to be uncomfortable that we've got something that's gonna be used against us.
But the stipend, if that does happen, the stipend would stay the same. It would always be 1,000.
So when are we gonna approve somebody?
Yep.
Is that coming at the next meeting or?
Only because it says that. I think that's the only thing that they could say, well, it says.
right,
you
and
pay
it
everyone
also
1,000.
sunsets at the end of the school year because we're negotiating right now.
I don't see a problem with it, and rather than withdraw and start it all over again, I would just call for a vote on it.
'Cause I do think that we're covered because the beginning says award each RN approved by the board, and then the last part of that sentence says the supervision of each, like it basically says we approve the RN, and then it says that we have to approve that they're supervising other LPNs. I feel like it's kind
On
of,
the board each. I mean, it does.
Well, how about I'll pull this one out of consent and we'll do it separately.
That's fine.
All right,
That's fine.
okay, so Cheryl, can you?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Any others in the consent? Either pull it or discuss it. All in favor?
I
Any against? Okay, and it's minus the,
Yep.
Okay, next is new business to accept the donation from Michael Hurley. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So he
Thank
just
you.
donated that to us? That's really nice.
Very cool.
John inspected it, it's in good working order.
It's great.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Next is the leadership reports. The only thing I had was Chris and I did the one walkthrough. The schools look in good shape. I mean, as good as they can be with hoses hanging out of the ceiling and garbage cans full of water. But I think that you can tell that they put in a lot of time and effort over the summer especially. But other than that, the other thing that I wanted to ask though is we need to kind of settle on a date for this retreat. We had the 14th and the 28th
28th,
of
yeah.
October. Does that work for anybody?
One or the other.
I think I had put down the 28th.
That
I think I had put down the 28th.
28th?
So the 14th won't work for you. I know 20th does more for you.
Right.
You said 14th or 28th?
Yes.
Unless we push it into November.
Either one.
Either one works.
I'm good with it.
So you're good on the 14th?
It should be. She is. I think she.
Yes.
Howard?
Yeah.
Good, yeah, good. Chris? Good, good, okay, 14.
Thank you.
Now we just have to figure out what it is.
Okay.
Working on it.
All right. Yeah, that's all I had. Chris, did you have anything?
I do know.
Can I ask board leadership when the student, member is supposed to, start?
I think.
They're going to training next week.
Yeah.
There's a regional training that they're gonna attend. Cheryl's going to attend with them to make sure that there's common understanding of expectations. And then they'll start.
And is that being looked at through NISBA?
There's multiple different ones. I don't know which, is it NISBA? Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
How long is it?
I think it's maybe an hour or two.
Here or? up
It's,
and
we're doing it virtually. They're doing it through the whole state on the 17th, so, at both these locations, but you can also attend virtually, so we.
And what was the date and time?
17.
17th,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's just one, or is there a backup as well?
There's a
Okay.
backup. Mhm.
Okay. All right, superintendent's report.
So there's a lot of information under instruction related to our first superintendent's conference day. It's a breakdown of what the buildings did, other than Mr. Cedarmark, who will tell you himself. And Dr. Watkins also, has some included in her report, so I don't want to take too much time with that. A lot of it is a continuation of the habitudes work that we did last year, talking about the habits for success that students are implementing throughout the school day with the guidance from their teachers and administrators. We also did work around the portrait of a graduate and also committing to 1% changes that when you stack together can maximize really positive impacts. The PPS department is working on some new procedures to reinforce systems and processes. And also working through the consents for CSE and 504 meetings all the way up to December. So if you believe that your child is due for reevaluation, you should be getting a consent form. If you do not get a consent form, please let us know, especially if there's been any address updates. We've also sent out consent to all parents to opt in to a digital portal, a collaboration portal through Frontline IEP Direct. And the reason for that is that we've really had difficulty with mail, like just the timeliness of the US Postal Service, which everything in special education world is very time sensitive in terms of notification for meetings and whatnot. So this would allow parents to receive electronic copies of all, in a secure portal of all information pertaining to their child's plans. And then we have a new ENL coordinator who is Alexandra Ellis. Allie is a teacher primarily at Alton Place, but she does travel this year. Phenomenal teacher, and she is working with families, students, and the other teachers in the department. And the pre-K students came in. There were very few tears the first day of school. It was absolutely fabulous. I think there was more parents who were suffering from the separation anxiety than students this year, which is good. The kids are excited to come in, but you know, we still had a couple, which is totally normal. We welcomed a Duchess Bosse's class that is renting space at Elm Drive for an 811 program and also the provision of related services. That's at Elm Drive. We do have plans for a class that they will be populating for Alton Place. And then next year, they're hoping the middle school as well. So it's 2 classrooms in each building that will be utilized for Duchess Bosse's space. Again, some information about first day activities for the middle school and high school. The Dean of Students did a welcome presentation for the middle school students on positive attitudes and being inclusive and reinforce the middle school as a supportive community where all students can thrive, helping to identify all the resources that students have to help support them through their middle school journey. He did a fabulous job. He encouraged them to take action and get involved. It's very positive. We also have been working through a porta potty issue. which feels silly to have it debut in my first report of this school year. So typically speaking, we go down to one porta potty over the summer because we just don't have much district activity. It has proven to be an issue in terms of the high volume of campus use over the summer. So we are piloting a 3 porta potty system at this point. One of the issues that we're facing is that the company that we rent them from will not come out more than once a week to service them. So really the solution to these issues is to have more porta potties. So we're working through this. John also has one of the maintenance folks, checking in regularly to really see if there's like intentional, I don't wanna say vandalism, but like, intentional
Misuse.
misuse, destruction, whatever you wanna say. So we're trying to really hone in on when that stuff is happening, if it's a particular group of individuals, so that we can maybe share some of that responsibility if it requires us to pay additional money. So one unfortunate thing, and one bit of good news, due to low participation numbers, we did have to cancel the modified girls soccer season, but those students were connected with volleyball and track to see if they wanted to switch to one of those sports. It's unfortunate, we only had 6 girls and we would talk 3, so there wasn't even enough for a team, let alone any subs, etc. There were emails and whatnot that had gone home to try and drive numbers up, but we just didn't have the students. And you might also be remembering that this is the group of really small class. And so that's going to be particularly challenging as this cohort sort of moves through. And then one thing that is exciting is the senior class is requesting ongoing permission to paint their parking spots again this year. So they'd like to propose that this be approved in perpetuity unless the board at some point decides that they want to discontinue this. So that is a request from our students at the high school, our senior class. And then I gave you a whole bunch of information on upcoming dates because the beginning of the school year, just like the end of the school year, is super busy. So everything is there for your reference should you need that. And I do want to give Dr. Watkins a shout out because she is working with Duchess Bosse's on a COSER that will allow our high school age students to have access to dual enrollment classes that will be of no cost to families and actually will actually work out in the district's favor financially. So there will be no cost to taxpayers, but the way that the COSER works is that this dual enrollment COSER will allow us or will require us to pay upfront, but then due to the aid that we get back on a portion of that teacher's salary. So if Mr. Smith teaches 2 college classes, 2 periods of college classes, we get that aid on that portion of Mr. Smith's salary. And so it actually ends up working out in our favor to be able to provide this service for students to then go on and take these classes. So we'll be able to offer more access really to students, so.
Can I ask a question on that? So would the teacher have to be, because I know like teachers are certified like K through
Yes.
6 or 8 or whatever. So are there specific teachers that are certified for these college?
So they have to
Credits?
be approved by whatever institution. So one of the things that is kind of good about the COSER is that it doesn't matter what college they take the classes through if we offer them here. So we have relationships now with multiple different institutions. So it doesn't matter which one, it still works the same where we're able to support them in this way. But if you are teaching for Duchess, you have to be approved by Duchess. If you are teaching for Mount St. Mary's, you have to be approved by Mount St. Mary's. And they may have different approval paths
Okay.
and requirements, but that's not really on us. Like they're certified to teach by New York State. This is an approval process by the college, but Amy did a lot of work, so I just she did not give herself a lot of credit for it, but it's a way, number one, to give our kids more access, but also it ends up benefiting the district.
Which saves taxpayer money.
Yeah.
Well, and on the same vein, I mean, I know you mentioned it, but I really don't think you guys take enough credit for this utilizing the empty classrooms we have to have BOCES basically rent them from us. I mean, I think that's every time we take a step of, taking the burden off the taxpayer, no matter how big or small it is, it's a good thing for us, for all of us. Do we have any idea how many kids are signed up to be in those?
So the class that we have right now is capped at 8 students. It is not full, but that is, BOCES handles enrollments and whatnot, so I believe they are at 4. But it would be what, and then they're looking for a similar pathway to fill in Andrews Building and then in the middle school, starting next year as well. So it would be 8 students per class.
I really, the thinking that goes behind some of these flexibility things is good. So my compliments.
Yeah.
Anything else for Caroline?
Can you just remind me, do board members go to the back to school nights?
You don't have to. A lot of times, like MEF and sports maybe PTO will be there representing, but
Karen, is the 17th the Elm one?
the 17th is the high school. That's financial aid night, and the Elm one
The 18th?
Is it the 18th?
is the 18th, yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? All right. Let's. Okay, Elliot?
Or do you want to let John go so he can get out of here?
No.
Would that be okay?
No, I'm just kidding. You wanna go, John?
It's okay, yeah, I'll go. Thank you, Scott. To start off, I just want to thank all facility staff, the custodians, the maintenance guys, and the summer help. Other district employees worked for us during the summer. They did an amazing job cleaning and helping out. We had a great summer school and that new summer program, continuing education program, so summer programs went a little extensive. So we needed a full teamwork to get the buildings done, especially the high school. Most of the programs were in the high school. And so one report, I'm just gonna say 2 things. In the high school, we renovated the library. We shrunk it down, made it more useful for the students, and we also created at the same time guidance suites for officers and a suite. So we renovated the whole place. The guys did most of the work in-house, and they really did a great job. They put the flooring down, built walls, took out that massive island that was in the middle.
That came out really nice. It's very good.
The guys did great work, so I can't thank them enough for that. We also created a large group instructional space in the middle school. We split room 4850, had a wall divided in it, took down a wall, repainted the room, we installed HVAC systems in there, and we also installed new tech equipment to create a nice student learning center in there. It's a large space for the students. Anybody has any questions?
Yes, Mr. Mullins, I noticed tonight, and could you tell the board why, up by the cafeteria, by the, I guess the boys' bathroom, there's a water fountain there with a sign that says, "Do not drink water."
Well, we did the lead water testing, which was mandated by the state. We had to get it completed. We actually got it completed early. And that one tested positive for lead. So we shut the water down and we followed the guidelines by the state, which we posted the sign on.
What's the next step?
We started renovating some rooms at costly expense. So we started with the kitchens, which is most dire needs to fix them first. So we took care of all of our kitchens. We did test positive in the middle school here, a couple of sinks, the walls in the elm. So we already repaired it. So they're all done.
But, since you're doing the report tonight, don't you think possibly you should have mentioned that something tested positive and that may be out of service?
I believe we had mentioned that in one of the past board meetings a while ago, because we completed that testing a long time ago.
It was retested. I think we need to verify if that sign is still applicable because
Okay.
we double checked our records and I thought all the retests have been received. We can check again, but I think we need to double check and see if that sign is still.
Yeah, we had sent a communication out to the parents and everything else.
Yeah, that was a
the
long
original
time
test?
ago, yeah.
Yeah.
This is today,
Right.
so. Okay, thank you.
I have a question for the library. Why was it minimized? Is that a place that students used or like hung out or, I mean, that would affect these?
So it wasn't minimized. There was an enormous circulation desk in the middle that was taking up, I mean, I don't want to say a half, but probably 40% of the footprint of the space. And honestly, where it was positioned, it didn't really allow for great supervision of this space either. Very outdated study carrels along the wall from a time when we had desktop computers, which now all of our students have one-to-one devices. So it was a really eating into the footprint really largely. One of our main goals with the capital project at the high school was, since we had to do repairs of the heating system above, our original thought was to be able to renovate that space and make it a more inviting, a more useful space, right? Where kids could meet, or like an entire classroom full of students would be able to come down with a teacher and have an actual educational space within there. Maybe even like a robotics field, like we had all of those visions. That was not something that was able to be done within the capital project, but when we sort of reimagined it, we realized that we could still do something that was inviting, that was student friendly, and also more appropriate for the type of instruction we want to offer in our district, in-house. And so ripping out those study carrels and ripping out this massive circulation desk, purchasing new furniture and having our guys lay the laminate that they had done throughout, several of the building offices has made a totally different space where Miss Morton was also able to consolidate a lot of the shelving. It had built-in shelving, right? So that was, if you have all these shelves, might as well use all these shelves. So we were able to consolidate some of them and take some of them out. They're actually now in the middle school library, which is allowing for a better line of sight throughout the middle school library too. So repurposing and really kind of shifting stuff we already had, and the purchase of some flooring materials allowed a whole renovation to happen in district. All our guys did the work. And fortunately enough, one of the eye wash stations in the upstairs chem lab was backing up and there was an issue. Just so happened that one of the walls that we opened was exactly where that drain pipe was. So pretty convenient to be able to repair that as well. Just so happened, right? So it all ended up working out this summer. It's really nice. If you're there for back to school night, I suggest you just kind of step in, check it out. It looks great.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Anything else, Josh? Any other questions for Josh? All right, thanks, buddy. All right, Elliot.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, just obviously a huge thank you to everybody who was here all summer getting us ready to open. There was a ton of work going on we just talked about, so I'm not going to rehash that. From the business office, our financial audit was completed in August. Our final results are pending, but the initial feedback was overall positive. There was nothing critical that we needed to address immediately. We don't expect to have any unfortunate findings, but obviously that'll be coming in the coming weeks. Our tax collection efforts have also begun, and for those listening at home, taxes can be paid in person via U.S. Postal Service or overnight delivery. And for the first time, taxpayers can pay their taxes online. And Dr. Watkins was very helpful in getting us a button on the homepage of the website that will bring you to our tax collector page with a link to be able to pay via e-check or credit card. So that was a request that somehow filtered up to the board last year after tax season or during tax season. We have a vendor now that can receive that for us, and that online platform speaks directly to our tax collection and tabulation software. So it's a seamless effort on behalf of the taxpayers and our tax collectors. So far, so good. To date, as of 3:00 this afternoon, we've collected $3.3 million, roughly 12.5% of our tax levy so far in the first.
My understanding is there is a fee if you decide to do it by credit card.
By credit card, there is a 2% processing fee. I
It
believe.
just should be mentioned.
So
I know it's on the
yeah,
website.
It's a service charge for convenience. E-check is not subject to the same fee. So if you're using your banking routing number.
And for anybody that may listen, unfortunately, the tax dollars cannot pay the fee.
Correct.
So if you want to go that route with a credit card, you either have to pay the fee.
Yes, sir. From the technology department, our E-rate work is in progress, and that is again focused on replacing aging wireless infrastructure throughout the district. We have upgraded our firewall this summer, which was a huge undertaking that's been completed. And we continue to work on our cybersecurity consortium with Duchess BOCES, working on all things continuity of business, continuity of instruction, and preventing or responding to cyber attacks and data privacy issues. Facilities, John spoke about at length. Just to have a note here that all of our annual compliance inspections have been completed, so we should be getting our new certificates of occupancy very soon. And I wanted to focus some time on the capital project timeline, just to give the board and anybody listening at home an update on where we are. So currently, our funds have been moved from our reserve accounts to our capital fund to be able to start putting checks to pay for our project-related expenses. We are currently in what's called the schematic design phase of the project. So if anybody remembers our pre-referendum conversations before the vote, we said a lot of our cost estimates are based on comparable projects, dollars per square foot, dollars per material, similar projects going on in the area. We build in all these escalations, and there's a lot of assumptions built into that budgeting process. And that is a standard procedure for school districts before their vote, right? They only do about 5 to 10% of the physical actual design work before the vote happens. Once the vote happens, that's when they send all the people to start measuring every single window, every doorway, every wall. They walk the roofs. We've had people crawling in tunnels, going up on the roof. We've had surveyors come in and do site surveys where they can actually stake the ground out and take the measurements so we can do our outside plans. We've had architects and engineers in the buildings, again, taking measurements, looking at materials and things of that nature. We've also taken core samples so that if we have to excavate as part of our ADA project with the linkways here at the middle school, they've taken core samples to see exactly what any potential hazards might be in the ground. So all of that is underway and in progress. I wanted to share the tentative schedule again, just to update anybody who's dialing in for the first time or may not remember previous conversations over the summer. So we've taken all of that $60+ million worth of authorization and broken it down into 3 phases. And it's phase 1A, phase 1B, and phase 2. Phase 1A is the middle school ADA compliance work. That includes our linkways and elevators and the window replacement part of the project here. Phase 1B is the roof and the HVAC system and the EPC work for the middle school and high school. So before I get too deep into it, a lot of people are going to say, I thought the roof was the most important thing. Why is it 1B and not 1A? The 1A, 1B separation was strictly in light of how fast we can get it to the state for approval. So the intent is to do all of the phase 1 work together, but we can accelerate the approval process for the ADA portion and the windows because it's less front-end work to get it to Albany. So that's why you'll see in the timeline, the intended design period for phase 1A is July to December. We expect to have these plans to SED by the end of the calendar year, which will hopefully come into a approval by March so we can go out to bid, so we can start construction July of 26 into July of 27, like through the year or across both summers, approximately 9 months. If we can get it done in the spring. Phase 1B, again, it's going to take a longer time to design it. So that's why you see the design period is from June, they started already, through March of 26, with a tentative construction period of summer of 26 through the fall and possibly summer of 28. Now, the roof project is a little bit more complicated in terms of how we do it, because as you can imagine, we can't exactly have school and classrooms with no roofs and ceilings. That's not something that we can swing. So we want to be able to, as part of our planning process, we want to develop a plan for phasing that piece of the work, where we may do one of the levels or one section or 2 sections of the roof in summer of 26, and then another section of the balance of the work in summer of 27 or 27 and 28, depending on how fast we can get those approvals back. We're not confident that we can start the actual physical site work before summer of 27, but if for some reason we get ahead of schedule and we can start doing some of it, we will. But again, the biggest part of that is, unlike other types of work, you can't tear the roof off in the winter. Right, so it has to be done in that 10 to 12 week window of summer between 27 and 28. So prioritizing our 2 biggest buildings, in phase 1A and 1B, right? The high school is less intensive work, but we're dovetailing it with the middle school work just to get our two biggest buildings taken care of. Because if you remember in the spring before the referendum vote, we had some questions from the community about, do we need all four buildings? What if we have a failure? And I remember, our superintendent spoke about the mold issue back in 2018 when we relocated the entirety of Elm Drive Elementary School into this building at the middle school. And that's not real feasible when you have major failures in your biggest building in the district. And so by shoring up the middle school across phase 1A and 1B and adding the high school scope of work, it really does give us the flexibility of relocation in the event that we do experience a failure at the elementary level, either at Elm or Alden. But hopefully none of that happens. And again, the plan for phase 2 would be to start our design period next June. So we would design the project from June 26 into the spring of 27, and then have a tentative construction period of 27, the summer of 27 to summer of 28. A lot of that's going to be HVAC work. The upside to that is that some of that work can be done throughout the school year because we're not upgrading the existing system. We're almost doing a comprehensive replacement. And when you're replacing a system with an unlike new system, you can build the new system right next to the old one and not have to use it in season, right? So I'm putting in all new heating equipment. I can leave the old stuff running while we're building the new stuff. I can do it second shift. We can do it overnight, do it through the winter, and then we can turn it on when it's ready. So there's a lot more flexibility to that type of a project at Elm and Alden, but that design work is not slated to begin until next year. Any questions?
Just a comment though. I want to make sure that we have on a regular basis, someone comes in and says, we're supposed to be at 38% of phase 2. We're 2 weeks behind schedule. Or this is the amount of the, here's where we are on the budget versus plan. Because I don't want to end up, I don't know if you remember when BOCES put that big addition on. They, like in the middle of it, had to slam the doors because things were falling apart or things were falling behind. So, I don't think we need to do it at every board meeting. I'll, put it out to the board, but I definitely like to see on a regular basis, here's our plan, here's our actuals, and whether we're behind or ahead.
If it works for the board, I was planning to keep this as a standing item on my monthly report. So at minimum, you'll hear from me once a month, and that'll be included once we get into budget season. I'll separate them out. That's two different report out, but I'm already here for that first meeting of the month. We can do it then. If you want more frequency as we get into the actual physical construction piece, we can do it at every meeting if that makes sense.
Well, Elliot, if we just look at the first bullet, intended design period, July through December, what percentage of the design has been done? We're in September.
So we're, again, for the compliance work, we have a meeting scheduled for the 22nd, I believe, of this month. And we're going to be meeting with the design professionals from both the EPC and the architect. So I'll have a better answer then.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the preliminary assessment for mechanical systems, so all the pipe work that has to be done related to this, because not to get too deep into the design weeds, but all of the heat in this building comes from the boiler room on the lower level. There's pipes that run through the linkways from first level to second level and from second level to third level. So while we're not doing the heating project yet, we still have to figure out how we're going to heat the upstairs when we rip the linkways out. So a lot of this design work is kind of dovetailed with the other aspects of the project. That's kind of why we have to do it all at the same time. It's hard to break that out, but at my next update, I'll give you a much tighter picture of what that looks like. So far, we've had mechanical engineers looking at all of that stuff and starting the design of the 1B work. And we've had architects here measure, every window in this building has been measured, including the glazed bricks in the gym. And the window systems over the tech wing where we have the high ceilings and the band room. So all the windows have been measured for phase 1A, and the roof has been checked and re-inspected by the architects again for phase 1A. So that's been done. When we meet later this month, we're going to be meeting with engineers from the architectural firm and the EPC firm to make sure that they're in agreement with design aspects, aesthetic aspects. I mean, it's everything from like, I have to get a pipe from there to there. Do I go up? Do I go down? Do I go along this wall? Do I go along that wall? Like, that's as granular as we're gonna get. So I'll give you a much tighter percentage then, but it's in terms of like task work, that's where we are so far.
Okay. And then could this be put on the website? I haven't looked under capital project on the website, but our voters may want to know where we're at.
Sure, I think when so between now and the spring, it's gonna be, there's not a lot of things to show until we go out to public bid. And I think once we go out to bid, we'll be able to really lock in the schedule, because that's part of the bid process, is gonna be when the work happens. So a lot of it is speculative right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I want to share out what we can, but I don't want to share things that change constantly. And then people think that we're changing our story as we go. So if you want like one slide, I can put like this as a snapshot on the.
Yeah, I don't know what the actual answer is.
Right.
But something, for, other than, I understand if someone tunes into this meeting, they'll hear it.
For sure.
But since we started in a new school year, I don't really know, but I would imagine something by quarterly or by November, just sort of like keeping the public informed of.
There's not much more to share other than this until we get past the submittal stage. So
Right.
I can share this now, and we can just put that up.
Okay.
And this is the tentative schedule.
Yeah.
If that works.
Okay, so unless
We
anybody-
can't speak to the budget until we start bidding out contracts, so that's not gonna be till way later. But this can be the tentative schedule, we can get that posted. And then we can, does that work?
I mean, is there an actual project manager from what I get the
Colombo
company,
Group,
right? I mean, that was what I was thinking more towards presenting to the board. Maybe it's once a month, maybe it's, every other meeting. But, usually they put together a line of balance. Here's my plan. Gonna be here, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be here, gonna be here. And then here's my actuals, I'm a little behind. What are you gonna do about it? Well, I'm gonna shorten up this and I'm gonna do,
like a milestone.
right. So,
Sure.
something that is a little more detailed than this. I mean, I think this is good to explain to especially the public and to us as well, where we are right now. But when we start getting into it, at least my take on it is, I need a feeling that, hey, we're on schedule, or, hey, Jesus, we've already spent half our budget and we're only a tenth of the way in.
So I think when we go out to bid and we get to the point of bid awards, we'll be presenting to the board the recommendation from the architect, the CM, and the district. So the administration, that's how it usually flows, right? We're gonna go out to bid hopefully in March for at least some of this work, right? So if we can get it to bid, we get the bids back, then we have to vet the bids. And they're vetted in three pieces. The architects will vet, the construction managers vet separately and in tandem, and then it comes to us, the district administration will make a recommendation to the board. And at that time, that bid will include a price tag and the timeline for construction. And that can be the foundational discussion where we use that as the model going forward, and then we measure against it, right? So we award a contract April, whatever date. And that contract award is, again, round numbers. It's a $5 million contract and it's scheduled for completion by October 1st. And then every update thereafter will be where we are against that expectation. Does that work?
Yeah, like I said, and if it's a project manager from Colombo that's on it, they manage risk. Hey, we've got all the duct work is made out of whatever, and there's a shortage on it right now that could delay. That kind of, and again, I don't think we need to, well, I know we don't need to see it at every meeting, but having somebody that can tell us this is where we're at.
Yeah, so I can update like in between, and then we can do the
Yeah.
quarterly, like we can bring them in quarterly and update the board themselves, so you can hear it straight from them.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thanks, Elliot. All right, I do believe we have someone new.
No,
Yeah. Oh, well, I consider Amy here. Yeah, I get to see her.
here.
Have you met Dr. Amy?
I'm
Which one-
happy to
Which one is
share.
she?
And then we have some.
All right, Amy.
Okay, please, thank you. All right, I'll start with community relations. So I wanted to send a heartfelt congratulations and thanks to Laura Fasheen. She was our communications person. And she was very sad, but she accepted another day in Pauling through BOCES. So that is why the contract with BOCES didn't allow her to stay with us, because she was also becoming their district clerk at the same time. So I wanted to wish her well in her new job. We have we had a person set up, they had a family emergency, so they had to resign. So we rescinded their appointment in the consent agenda. But we are trying to do some very creative things. We had a few feelers out with people who do this professionally in the area, but not necessarily Millbrook area, because we wanted to keep the integrity of our social media page and whatnot. Whatever. And, but then also we're working with the colleges who have communications departments to have interns. And so I've worked with the legal and reaching out to some of the colleges that we already have affiliations with, and they were thrilled when I asked them about communications interns. So more will come as they apply. I think one of the colleges has interns that do this in the spring. So hopefully by then, but it will be nice to have more boots on the ground doing some of that and attending that work during the week when some of the communications people would be doing this per diem kind of thing on an hourly rate. And that usually happens. Laura did much of her work actually after hours. So there were a few times that she was able to come in. So more on that. Millbrook Minute in the meantime is back. So you may have seen that YouTube is back. And all of our admin are on there. That is always available on our YouTube channel. I am exploring in the meantime different ways to present that information, just because I don't have the constant contact that Laura was using through PNW. So emails were sent out with links to upcoming information for families. I'm also really excited to share again that the continuing education, the fall courses are out. So that information will be posted on social media. It has gone out via email. It will be added in newsletters. I'm going to add it onto the website now that we're past the board meeting, and just share that out. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors. It's not just for Millbrook people, so everyone is welcome. We had a nice turnout over the summer, and it was a good trial run for us with the courses that we were offered. Now with our extended hours that the buildings are open, so it gives us more flexibility having evening courses. So we hope that everything is able to run. All parents were sent information from their principals regarding annual notifications. That information allows parents to review important documents like our code of conduct, our technology internet use agreement. So parents sign off on that. So just additional reminders. Back to school nights are linked there, as they were mentioned earlier. And I know Caroline already spoke about our superintendent's conference day, so you can see any additional information. I believe she did a really thorough job, and I know Andrew will talk specifically about his building. But I wanted to highlight our new teacher orientation. I was really thrilled, and thank you to the board members who were able to join them for lunch. But they had a very intensive 2 days trying to catch them up on the big ideas over the last few years so they wouldn't be behind of our teachers. So we did spend time on our 1% and reading through chapter 1 of Atomic Habits. We really looked through the portrait of a graduate. We talked through the how to differentiate in our classroom for MTSS Tier 1 interventions and supporting all learners. And it was a really intensive 2 days. They also looked at their observation rubric. So what types of practices do those strategies impact our students? We looked at high level strategies to support our variety of learners. So I really wanted to thank the new teachers for their dedication and commitment to that. It was wonderful. And as you can see in there, we also had our student orientation. So it was nice to see the students getting a pre-lookout on their building, and particularly pre-K and K got to ride the bus, so that was really great for them. And as well as our incoming new students at the secondary level. And I believe Andrew will talk about anything that he did at his building. I'm not sure that you did anything for the new students coming into your building, but if you did, you can share about it when you come up. But that's kind of the highlights. And I have to say, this being my fourth year here, that this was the smoothest opening
Yeah.
that we've had. And I know Caroline said few tears, but I can just say positively so many smiles and just people, I know it didn't feel like there was a summer because we were jam-packed with work, but they literally, it's like they've already been here for weeks, not days. So kudos to our students and our parents for that. Any questions?
About how many people did we have during the summer?
How many students? Oh, yeah. So for summer scholars, we had approximately 70 students that were registered in addition to 3 of our extended school year programs that ran. So previously we've had 2 programs, now we had 3.
And did we have an adult one over the summer?
Oh, for the continuing education. Yeah, we had 5, sorry. We had 5 courses that ended up running. And the popular ones were actually Miss Scovin wins the award. She had 3 courses that she ran. She did Italian, she did ballet and twirling. Yes, and we had ceramics and we also,
Lots of talent that I
All
don't
at
have.
yeah, and a writing course, I think, also ran. So I just
Painting.
painting, that's
Watercolors.
which watercolors she did. So it was really great offerings. I almost wanted to take a few days off myself so I could attend, especially the Italian course. But now that it's being offered in the evenings, maybe that's something I could sign up for. I know I did hear back some feedback from one of the presenters actually that they were concerned about the fee of the course, but we did want to make sure that the taxpayers know that, you know, for electricity we tried to not do overtime, but for electricity and the use of the buildings, there is a slight fee for that in addition to the instructor's fee. So that is how the prices, and just trying to stay competitive with the other continuing education programs in the area.
Very good. Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Now,
Okay.
you're up.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So I'll start with some talk of teacher curriculum work. On our Superintendent's Day conference, we had teachers looking at New York State assessment data over the last 3 years so that they could see the trends and how students were doing in ELA and math, to be able to track the cohort over time. And from that, teachers made data-driven goals as part of their teams. And then we talked about the 1%, like the individual growth goals. Teachers were making those goals within the context of what their teams were trying to achieve. In addition to that, we started the first day with the family charter, basically modeling for staff. One of the key community building activities from the ruler program that we use for social emotional learning. So that even our new staff knew what to do to create a warm and welcoming atmosphere for their children on the first day. I redesigned the schedule this year so that it's visual and you can see all the different opportunities for collaboration. And so I was able to create 2 days in a 6-day cycle where teachers are able to get together. And one of those days is going to be focused on collaborative planning and making sure that they've got their lessons for the week planned, in keeping with our curriculum materials. But then the other is going to be a data meeting where we'll be checking back in repeatedly just to see how teams are making progress toward those goals that they've set for student achievement. A new special, Caroline encouraged me to come up with a cuter name than independent reading. So ABC, Alden Book Club. And this is like a pilot that I'm trying with the help of the 3rd grade teachers and one of our wonderful teaching assistants, Miss Althea Clark. And the idea is that in addition to the skills-based work, we're also that's happening in their content area classrooms. There's also the opportunity to develop their reading identities and their reading interests and to actually have some actual time to choose things that they would like to read and read them with their friends and practice the skills that they're learning in their classes in that context. I'm excited to have that serve as like a cornerstone too, just for building out a culture of reading and a bunch of other ways. So hopefully that's successful and even in other grades. In terms of assessment, teachers are currently administering Barnell Loft and Valstall assessments, which are research-based diagnostic tools designed to evaluate students' reading comprehension and foundational literacy skills, so that we're ready to respond and offer intervention where needed, whether in the classroom or outside the classroom. In terms of conduct and safety, one of the things that's really important to me is just making sure we're always communicating to students the kind of people we want them to be. And one really easy place is just through in the strategic plan, the district articulated some core values. And they were purpose, ethics, acceptance, community, and evolution. So when you walk into the front door of Alden Place, you'll see that we've designed a wall, and every month there's going to be a student of the month, one per grade for each of those core values. And at our Blue Ribbon Blazer ceremony, that's what we're going to be promoting. We revised the language so it's student friendly, so it's easy to talk to kids about, like, what does it mean to show purpose? What does it mean to act ethically? What does it mean to value community? What does it mean to evolve, and so on? So I'm looking forward to welcoming you if you'd like to come and check it out. We've got a beautiful display. In terms of safety, teachers are aligning around best practices for managing visitors to the building. I just want to make sure we have an extremely tight system for when there's unfamiliar adults. I've asked all teachers to share with kids guidance around, if you see an unfamiliar adult, tell an adult, so on, making sure that everybody's wearing the orange lanyards and just that we have a consistent set of safety procedures. We've got our drills scheduled for the year in collaboration with Elm to make sure that we're being consistent in terms of our practices and protocols as well. In terms of special highlights, in addition to the book club that I was just speaking about, our band program is, of course, off to a great start. Another opportunity in scheduling that I was able to find is that band will now be offered 3 out of 6 days in a 6-day cycle rather than 2. I know it's Ms. Rubin is doing such a fabulous job recruiting kids and putting on amazing performances. So I wanted to make sure we were investing more time. Chorus has also begun. Ms. Rubin is also offering a music enrichment class for all 5th grade students, regardless of whether they are participating in band. So I didn't want kids to have the opportunity to opt out of band. Should be still getting the highest quality of instruction. So I was excited that she was able to step up and do that. And then, of course, Mr. Weaver, our library and STEAM teacher, with our library aide, Ms. Lamage, they're working very closely with students, grade level teams, and aides to make sure that there's a smooth rollout process to our library procedures so we can get books in hands as quickly as possible. Some upcoming events, back to school night is on the 25th. And I didn't note on here, but I did want to say that the book fair will be running from September 22nd through the 25th. So when families come on the 25th, they'll have the opportunity to do a little shopping with their students. And then, as I mentioned earlier, at our Blazer ceremony, first of which is on the 26th, we'll be honoring students who are demonstrating those core values. And that's what's happening at Alden.
In general, finding everybody, know where you're going, all those things.
I hope so. It's hard to get lost in all these days. But yeah, from my perspective, things are going well. What a warm, welcoming community and amazing group of educators and families and kids. It's really been a huge privilege, and I really thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions, comments?
Thank you.
Can you go into the after school program, for example, like Kindness Club or anything?
Kindness Club will be continuing. So another thing that I would. Yeah, so Kindness Club will be beginning soon, and Interact Club will be beginning. That's a morning program that great teacher Ms. Link runs. Trying to work as many teachers as possible to take on. And we have some unclaimed stipends for things like Drama Club that I would love to see claimed soon, so that kids have a lot to do.
Excitingly though, we do have somebody who's gonna do intramurals at Alden.
Oh, cool.
So that will be. I think after school, you mean? After school.
That's great.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Next, we have the agenda. Do I have a motion to amend the agenda, removing CSEA, SMOA from consent to old business? Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Any questions, comments? Okay. I'll start with the general vote and then, well, actually, where is it? The next one down is the CSEA, but do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Questions and comments around that CSEA MOA? I'll call it just a general vote, and then if there's any concerns, we'll do it name by name. All in favor? Any against? All right, future agenda items, you guys know. The only one up in the air right now is our workshop, our retreat. Public comment questions?
Sorry, for future agenda, can we put in there about the 2025 proposed NISBA resolutions? Because that's October 14th, I have to do the vote, and then I usually summarize the issues, so just at some point to put it on a meeting agenda.
We do. But we should be able to do that night, right? Or we can do it here.
Before October 14th.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, so October 14th, I'll work it out.
Is that when you have to go? Is that when you have?
Yes, it's at 4 p.m. and it usually ends at like 11.
No,
I'll figure.
Well, can we
Look at
do
November.
this? Can we do this remote? Like if you're gonna be in the city?
No, I do it virtually.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll figure it
So at some point before October 14th.
We used to do it as board leadership used to then call on for the report. So you could just put it on one of your board leadership, and then just call on Dina.
Yeah.
Instead of just putting it on the agenda, just put it on as one of your board leadership.
Yeah, that's,
Let me know when so I can.
yeah, well, let's see, how many, before the 14th, we have an October meeting, right?
She's not gonna be able
Yeah,
to-
the 14th and the 28th
So-
were our two open
Can I throw
Tuesdays.
this up? I think my thing on the 28th, I might be, what time would we do the retreat? Like a 5 or 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
No,
Right,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's October 16th. My apologies. I'm sorry. It's October 16th at 4 p.m. So we're good. We're good. Sorry.
Okay. I was gonna say, I might actually be able to be back for the 28th. I gotta double check on how long it's gonna take me to get back.
Well, let's try, I mean, if we can knock it out on the 14th,
Okay.
do that. But then you can, you could take us through the, on the list, the voting list. That first, whatever the first meeting in October is.
Okay.
All right. All right, no, public comments or questions? No. All right, I'm gonna call for an executive session, but before I do, just want to make sure anybody that's on here or there is, aware that just because we go to executive session does not mean the meeting is over. We will come back, and if there's anything we need to take action on, we have to take action in public session. So with that, do I have a motion to go to executive session?
So.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Any against? Cool. All right. Leave executive session.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I would have seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Got that, Cheryl?
Yep, we're all set.
All right, we didn't have anything to take action on, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against?